people can't see the one where they happen now. They say that all the whole people that was against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, right now they have realized that they have done a very big mistake for themselves. Accepting one Nigeria is like when you are accepting that you want to buy. Can't see this lawyer, what they call DJ, can't hear waiting they talk. Remember that this guy was one of the most Mazi Nnamdi Kanu criticism. Now he don't come back. When they tell people say at first place, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu not supposed to for inside where we did today. But you go see Igbos gathering on TikTok talking bad about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. However, we go play you the video and you can hear what this our brother talk concerning the war wey happen for Nigeria. Say the history about to repeat himself again. Watch the full video.
I was with Nnamdi Kanu at the Sokoto Correctional Prison. I went to see him about 2 weeks ago. We had a lengthy conversation for like 2 hours. Of course, you know, I've disagreed with him in the past. I don't think it's justifiable for him to have been jailed.
Why?
He didn't physically kill anyone. Even the things that were imputed or imputed to say he has done, he didn't do them. You can't blame him. We were the one that started NSAS. How can you say that Nnamdi Kanu was responsible for what happened during NSAS? Thugs were on rampage during NSAS. He didn't send anybody to do anything. Basically, he's talking about this marriage does not favor us. And if the marriage does not favor us, let's do a referendum. He may even lose in his compound if the referendum is because this idea, I think the reason why some of these questions keep coming up is because we keep shying away from it. Let's confront our fears. Let's face our fears. And let us decide if whether through a sovereign national conference or whatever modus operandi we want to use, let's confront our fears and say, oh, if we do a referendum and we vote, even the United Kingdom, at a point, left the EU. Do you understand? Whenever you're forcing somebody to stay in a marriage, it may be death that will happen. When you start, the person says, I'm tired of a marriage. You say, no, you must stay in this marriage. You must.
For better, for worse.
Yeah, and again, yes, I'm a Pan-Nigerian and also a Pan-African. I love the fact that I'm able to travel the length and breadth of this country to see my Igbo brothers, my Hausa brother, my Yoruba brothers. I love it because in Nigeria is so beautiful. The camaraderie, the love. Yes, we may have our differences, but we are loving people. Do you understand? We are loving people. So I love the idea. And it breaks my heart when I hear anybody talk about this kind of conversations. It breaks my heart. However, there are people that feel this way. We must listen to them. We must not hound them. We must not shut them up. We must hear their genuine grievances and complaints. See.
Now, during the period of crisis leading to the declaration of war, Zik and Ojukwu were on the same side up till Aburi, and then after Aburi and the declaration of war, the early years of Biafra, Zik and Ojukwu were on the same side ideologically. Okay. Then up till sometime late 1968, because up till that time there was still negotiations going on after declaration of Biafra and Nigeria. They were still trying to negotiate under the aegis of the OAU, heads of state, and all kinds of groups coming trying to broker peace.
All right, so guys, a quick one. This video interview from a former member of the House of Representatives, Chudi, or for the Labour Nigeria Basatari, the book he wrote about Biafra, telling the stories in the book. He made a whole lot of statements here that I want you guys to listen to. This interview was done some time ago, but just for those not here, the video is very, very educating. I want you guys to watch the video. Now this conversation, Basatari, the Biafran Supreme Leader, Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu, and then Zik, if any member doing the Aburi Accord and so many things surrounding the Biafran war. So this interview is very educating. I want you guys to watch the video. I don't want to say much. Share your thoughts. Share the video. Can always require with fear. Enjoy the rest of the videos. I'll be right back.
After declaration of Biafra and Nigeria, they were still trying to negotiate under the aegis of the OAU, heads of state, and all kinds of groups coming trying to broker peace. Up till the end of 1968, when Ojukwu made the proclamation that Biafra's sovereignty was not negotiable. It was at that point that Zik now left and went on exile to London.
Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, Governor of the Eastern Region of Nigeria, announced the declaration of the Republic of Biafra on the 30th of May 1967. He served as the general of the Biafran People's Army until Biafra surrendered on the 12th of January 1970. As Nigeria learns from Biafra, is there a link between Biafra and the many developmental problems of Nigeria? What needs to be done to fix Nigeria's problems? Chudi Ofodile, a lawyer, politician, and former member of Nigeria's House of Representatives, attempts to answer these and many other questions in his book titled The Politics of Biafra and the Future of Nigeria. No matter the side of the divide you are, it's a book that will likely draw out different emotions from you. Chudi Ofodile joins us to review his book and discuss the sensitive yet significant subject of Biafra. Chudi Ofodile, thanks for joining us on Channel Book Club.
Thank you very much, Kunle.
Let me read from page 15. You said the Federalists belong to the Nnamdi Azikiwe School of Thought, and the Separatists belong, to the Emeka Ojukwu School of Thought. Basically, you describe two schools of thought. The Separatists and the Federalists. So there are Igbos who believe that Biafra should come out of Nigeria and stand alone, the Separatists, the Nnamdi Kanus.
Yes.
And then there are Igbos who say, look, within Nigeria, Biafra can have some kind of semi-independence. So they say restructure Nigeria and let the federating units, be loose and free and all that. So the Federalists, the Zik movements, the Separatists, the Nnamdi Kanu School of Thought, the Ojukwu primarily. Where do you stand? Are you in the Zik school or the Ojukwu school?
Well, it's an interesting situation as you just painted. It depends on the period. Okay. Now, during the period of crisis leading to the declaration of war, Zik and Ojukwu were on the same side up till Aburi, and then after Aburi and the declaration of war, the early years of Biafra, Zik and Ojukwu were on the same side ideologically. Okay. Then up till sometime late 1968, because up till that time there was still negotiations going on after declaration of Biafra and Nigeria. They were still trying to negotiate under the aegis of the OAU, heads of state, and all kinds of groups coming, trying to broker peace. Up till the end of 1968, when Ojukwu made the proclamation that Biafra's sovereignty was not negotiable. It was at that point that Zik now left and went on exile to London. So if you take the circumstances of that period, you will see that if I were in Biafra at that time, I would not have gone with Zik.
You would have gone with Ojukwu?
Yes. Because of the circumstances. Okay. But now, today, yes, IPOB demonstrators are being killed. Unarmed demonstrators being killed. But as bad and as horrible as it is not the same thing as bombs dropping on, women and children, as was taking place in 1968. So the point is that the engagement process should be different. The interesting thing is that today, Zik and Ojukwu would have been on the same side.
Will they?
Yes, because the question now should be, are we interested in creating a semi-autonomous unit within Nigeria to have federating units, maybe 6 federating units or whatever number? Or do you want a separate state?
So you reckon that if Ojukwu were alive today,
yes,
he will be saying to Nnamdi Kanu, that's not the way to go?
Ojukwu may not say so to Nnamdi Kanu for the simple reason that Ojukwu and I believe every right-thinking person should also take into consideration the fact that every citizen, every adult citizen is entitled to his or her own point of view. So that if Nnamdi Kanu believes that Biafra should be a separate country, that is a point of view.
Because that would have been consistent with what Ojukwu believed and did in the late 60s.
The circumstances, I keep referring you to the situation at the time.
Situation changed.
Yes. So when situations change, so people can shift ideologically. So that's the point, that what we're dealing with today is not so much about where Mr. A or Mr. B stands on these issues, but the right and freedom of people to agitate for whatever they want, so long as they do it within the law. So it's not a question of where do I stand. Basically, it's a matter of what rights are we entitled to as citizens of Nigeria, and how are those rights protected under the law?
Okay, now this is relevant to this conversation. You said in page 197. Let me read what you wrote here. President Buhari has his own issues with the Igbo. He becomes irritated when confronted with issues relating to Igbo marginalization or Biafra. I also have to read that immediately after that you did say that Buhari has a certain authenticity that can help to achieve genuine national reconciliation if he so desires. You then wrote after, in page 108, you said a significant number of the Igbo diaspora do not believe that Nigeria is redeemable. They believe in Biafra and are funding the process that could lead to its realization. I believe that Nigeria is redeemable if we fight for its liberation from the clutches of agents of centralization.
Yes.
Okay, stay with me, sir. I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you now wrote in page 200. One of the reasons Obasanjo becomes very irritated over the current Biafra agitation, aside of the Civil War victor mentality, is that he knows very well that it sprouted on his watch. Okay, so you said Buhari gets agitated when it comes to the issue of Igbo. You said Obasanjo gets agitated when it comes to the issue of Biafra. Do you believe that Buhari and Obasanjo are agents of centralization? Is that your take on those leaders, that they push for a strong central government? Agents of centralization.
Yeah, agents of centralization are basically people who, by their training, military officers who get into government and they only understand command and control, and then their own idea of Nigeria is Nigeria that is controlled from the center, from Abuja. Okay. Now, that is the problem. Obasanjo, General Obasanjo, General Buhari, General Babangida, all the generals, who have, one time or the other been in office in Nigeria, they all belong to that school of thought.
Thank you very much. It's been a nice time with you here, reviewing your book, The Politics of Biafra and the Future of Nigeria. Thank you. Congratulations on your book.
Thank you, Kunle. Thank you very much.
My people, drop your own opinion for inside comment section. You see this country where we dey, anything where they like me they do. See this country, you must divide. There is no other ways. Nigeria is like a tube with so many patch that have not more chance to patch. You understand? So let's be watching. We are watching everything.